Hello again, everyone. Thank you for coming back to the channel. I can't come on and say this is an exciting video because it's not. Matter of fact, this video is to me disgusting, especially when you hear about the charges that's being allegated against the father. Let me bring context to the story. Dad was awarded children after the mother passed away. Now, don't come and say Team Tiggio how she passed away. I don't know. I looked at the trial. I didn't see how she passed away. The father ended up moving in the children into the house. I mean, not the children, I'm sorry. A living girlfriend into the house. Let me get the context right. I apologize for that. This is live, so it's no do-overs. Okay, now, since then, the only witness that's coming speaking on behalf of the children or being a witness of what possibly happened to the children is the ex-girlfriend because the father has been arrested. Let's go down. 1 count, 2 count, 3 counts of alleged sexual assault against his own children. Then it was another count of kidnapping. I don't even know if YouTube even going to monetize this video. I don't know. But for the greater good, I still want to bring forth this video for educational purposes. It's almost 2 hours long. Or maybe it is over 2 hours long. It's a very, very long video. But nevertheless, let's dive into the content and let's go from there.
Are we ready on this one?
I have an update for the court, but I don't have my second witness here yet.
What's your update?
I do have my officer in charge who's on his way out to where the victim is staying right now to see if he's there. My initial plan, before the prior exam ended, as I told the defense counsel, was that if she's there and we can bring her back, we can get started with the first witness. If she's not there, of course, I'd be requesting either a held in court or placing the court on notice that it would be dismissed and reissued.
All right, might as well get started and see where we go.
Okay, you're ready.
Calling 2458108, people of the state of Michigan versus Rico Sean Turner. And it's charged with count 1, criminal sexual conduct, first degree multiple variables. Count 2, criminal sexual conduct, first degree multiple variables. Count 3, criminal sexual conduct, first degree multiple variables. Count 4, kidnapping. Count 5 and 6, assault with a dangerous weapon. Count 7 through 12, felony firearm. Defendant has the ability to the third instance. Appearances for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Moore on behalf of the people, PB 4724.
Hey, good morning, Your Honor. Daniel Woodson on behalf of Mr. Turner, P68870. Mr. Turner, please state your name again.
Please leave time set for preliminary examination. Are we ready to proceed?
Your Honor, the people are ready to proceed in part. I do have one of my 2 witnesses present for today.
Any preliminary matters before you call witnesses?
At this time, people move for a mutual order of sequestration for any and all witnesses in this case.
Ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, if you are a witness or potential witness, I'm ordering you to log off at this time. Doesn't appear to be any other witnesses in the courtroom. Call your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I also would ask for an exception to that sequestration order from my officer in charge should he arrive at that important time. That is Detective Darrell Dawson, Darrell, last name Dawson. And with that, the people's first witness is Tiara Hawkins. That's spelled Tiara, last name Hawkins.
Any objection to the OIC remaining?
No objection, Your Honor.
You have her spelling. Please raise your right hand now. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. What's that on your head?
Judge, I was gonna start with those questions as to why she's wearing that. It is, I think, related in some ways to this case, so if the court would allow me to do that when I get started, I will make a record.
Okay. Please step forward, have a seat, the witness box next to me. Keep your voice up nice and loud and speak into that microphone and be to your left once you have a seat.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Tiara Hawkins.
Now, Ms. Hawkins, before we begin, I do see that you have something on your head. Can you explain, one, what you're wearing, and two, why it's on your head currently?
This is an area, and I do have staples, stitches in the top of my head. So that's why I have this on, because I can't do anything to my hair.
How long have you had staples in your head?
Since I went to the hospital.
Was that back on July 3rd of 2024?
Yes,
Was that in connection to this case?
yes,
Now, have the staples remained in your head since that day?
yes,
Do you have plans to get those staples out of your head?
yes. I go tomorrow to get my stitches and staples removed. And I go.
Have you been wearing this head wrap over that stapled area on your head?
Yes.
Have you been doing that in any way to protect that area as well?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, so I'm actually going to back up a little bit now that we covered that information. You said your name. Can you tell us how old you are?
I'm 30.
And what is your date of birth?
January 1st, 1994.
Now I'm going to draw your attention back to right at the end of June into the first few days of July of 2024. Were you in a relationship with anyone at that time?
Yes.
Can you tell me Rico's full name?
Rico Deshaun Turner.
Would you recognize that person if you saw them today?
Yes.
Do you in fact see them in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Please identify where they are seated and pick out an article of clothing to carry.
Wearing green.
Is he seated or standing? Or standing? He's seated. Is he out in the pew area or one of the tables?
He's at the table.
With that, Your Honor, we will request a recorded identification of the defendant.
So no.
And you indicated that at that time you were in a relationship with Rico. Is that what you called him?
He was my boy. 2 years.
How long did you know him?
I've been knowing Rico 3 years.
So you met him about 3 years before. Were you living with him?
Yes.
How long had you been living with him?
For about like 6.
What?
6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
So if you met him 3 years ago, how had you been living with him for 6 years?
Well, it could have been like 3, 4 years probably.
Okay.
Because I met him in like 2020, I want to say 2021.
Okay, so you met him in 2021. I'm gonna rephrase my question then. How soon after you met him did you start living with him?
Maybe like I say like 8.
And so where were you living with him back in June, early July? Where were you living at the end of June, early July?
Before I moved with him?
No, I'm sorry. I'll be a little bit more specific. So in this year, like a little over a month ago, the end of June 2024, early July 2024, were you living in Detroit?
Yes.
Were you living with Rico?
Yes.
Was that at the location of 20108 Health?
Yes.
Did anyone else live at that residence with you?
His ex-wife did. She passed away.
And so that was, when did his ex-wife pass away?
Like in October.
So was that October of 2023?
No, that was like 2020, 2021.
So
I don't
that-
remember. It's been a while.
So this was not recent that his ex-wife passed away.
It was October.
Okay, so after October, where you were living with Rico, were there any
Yes.
other adults living in the home?
No, it was just me and him and the kids.
You mentioned the kids. Whose kids were living?
RJ and Ryan.
Whose kids are they?
Rico's.
Now you said that you were living with them. Did you ever take care of them?
Yes, I did.
How would you take care of them?
I raised them. I took care of them. I did everything for them. I was like their mother.
Now you mentioned RJ and who was the second child?
Ryan.
Riley. So RJ specifically, how old is RJ?
7.
Is RJ autistic?
Yes.
Is he able to speak?
No.
And then what about Riley?
No.
When you say no, what are you saying no to?
He can't speak.
Do you know if Riley is also autistic?
He have a little bit, as far as I know.
But has there been any official diagnosis?
No.
So it's you, Rico, the 2 kids, RJ and Riley. Was anyone else officially living in the home with you?
No, it was just us.
At some point, right at the end of June, early July, did Rico bring someone to the house?
Yes.
Describe for me the first thing that you heard about him bringing someone to the house.
He called me on the phone.
Was it morning, afternoon, or evening?
It was like nighttime.
Where were you when he called you?
I was at home, at our house, with the kids.
So you and the kids are at the house. Is anyone else at the house with you at that
No,
time?
it was just us. It was just me and the boys.
So Rico calls you. What does Rico say when he calls you?
He said, "Hey, babe, I got a friend. She homeless. She don't have nowhere to go. She needs to shower." And I said, "Well, me being me, me being nice and courteous, I said, well, let her come. She can shower. I give her clothes and stuff like that. She can do whatever she needs to do."
So he calls you and says that he found a friend. Does he bring that friend to the house?
Yes.
Does he bring the friend to the house that night?
Yes.
Do you meet that friend?
Yes, I did.
What is that friend's name?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
What does it start with?
Start with an A.
Does it sound like Amarie?
Yeah.
And for the record, that's Amerrie. Describe for me what this girl looks like.
She like brown skin. She had like some nappy hair. She had like pimples and stuff on her face.
Had you ever seen that girl before?
No.
When she got to the house, what's the first thing that you remember?
Sorry, I said what? Like what?
So she gets to the house and you meet her. Where are you in the house when you meet her?
I was sitting on the couch in the front room.
Where were the kids?
They was in the back, in their room.
Was it, and you had previously said that it was nighttime. Was it still nighttime at this
Yes,
point?
it was still nighttime at this point. It was still dark outside.
Were the kids still awake or were they asleep?
No, they were asleep.
So you meet this girl. Where is Rico when you meet this girl?
He was with her.
And you're in the living room. Do you stay in the living room or do you go to a different place in the house?
I stayed in the living room.
What happens in the living room?
And we went in the room. I was in the room with the kids. And they went in the room and they did whatever they did. I don't know, but I was in there with the kids. And they went in the room.
So you are in a room with the kids. You see Rico and the girl go into another room. Does anyone go into that room with them?
No, it was just them two.
Did you see what they were doing in that room?
No, I did not.
At some point, do they come back out of the room?
Yes.
When they come back out, does Rico say anything to you?
No, I remember.
When they come back out, what is the girl's like demeanor like? What does she look like to you?
She looked scared.
Why do you say she looks scared?
That's what she was. She was crying. Everything. She looked scared.
What was Rico's demeanor like?
I don't know. Normal.
So you said that the girl comes out, she's crying. You thought she looked scared. Do you talk to her at all?
No, I said something to her, but that was it. I asked her what was wrong and why, why she was crying, but she never told me, she never told me why.
At any point, and I want to be very clear, I'm not asking you what she said. At any point, did it seem like she wanted to leave?
Yeah,
How did it seem like she wanted to leave?
because she kept crying and she kept saying, I don't want to go home to my daughter. I want to be with my daughter.
Okay, so it seemed like she wanted to leave. Did you allow her to leave the home?
Yeah, I told her she can leave.
What about Rico? Was he allowing her to leave the home?
I don't know.
Sir, control yourself, okay? I don't want you doing anything, just sit there and listen.
Did you ever see Rico tell her that, I'm sorry, did you ever hear Rico tell her that she wasn't allowed to leave?
Yes,
When did you hear him tell her that she was not allowed to leave?
that night.
What exactly did you hear?
He told her that she couldn't leave. She was gonna stay, she was gonna be there.
Did you ever see him prevent her from leaving?
No, I did not see him hear her from stopping her from leaving. But I did hear him tell her that she couldn't leave.
So at this point in time, she is crying, you said that she wanted to leave. What's the very next thing that you remember?
They were talking, they were having a conversation about whatever they were talking about. I don't know. I don't know what they were discussing or what they were talking.
Is there a point in time where you were brought into a conversation?
Yes, we all did talk. We all did communicate together. We was having a conversation, laughing, giggling, and all that.
So at some point, do things get a little, does she stop crying? This girl?
For a minute,
And you said that you were talking and laughing. Were you doing anything else?
no,
Were you drinking at all?
we drank some wine.
And were you ingesting any sort of like substances?
No,
So you're drinking, you're talking. Does anything else happen that night?
where I said what? This is a whole lot. Like I can't remember everything like that.
Okay, I will be a little bit more specific with my questions, okay? Does anything else stick out in your mind for that evening?
Where I said me and him get into it. Like, going back and forth, arguing and me getting cut and all that.
So we're gonna back up a little bit. Does she spend the night?
Yeah, she did.
Does she spend more than one night at the house with you?
She only was there for that night.
Okay. So as far as you remember, she was only there for one night. Is that a yes?
Yes,
At any point, did you, Rico, and this girl engage in any sort of sexual act?
yes,
When did that happen?
that morning.
So that would be the next morning?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
Okay, we're gonna continue to say that. If you say or we need a verbal answer so the court reporter knows what that answer is, okay? Okay. So you said that at one point you all engaged in a sexual act together. You said that that happened in the morning, is that right?
yes.
What's the first thing that you remember about how that started?
Rico was doing it to her. He was doing her money back. She went down on me. That's something that she wanted to do. Nobody else, I didn't force her. And she wanted to do it, but I did it to her too also.
So I'm gonna back you up for a second. You said that Rico was doing it to her. What exactly was Rico doing to her?
He was having sex with her.
And this, I can see that you're getting frustrated. I
I'm
know,
getting really frustrated.
I know these questions are a lot, but we do need to make sure we have a clear record. So he was having sex with her. Where in the house was this happening?
In the front room.
Is that like a living room area?
Yes.
Describe for me what's in that room.
A couch, table, TV, chairs.
It's Hawkins.
Yes.
Over here. So I know some of these questions sound like dumb questions, but like Ms. Moore indicated, we have to have a clear record so that we make sure that we know exactly what we're talking about. None of us were there. You were there.
I'm saying that everything should be on file, and I'm tired of keeping repeating. It's like I'm a tape recorder, like I just keep saying the same thing. Like, it's making me frustrated. Irritated.
I need you to relax and just ask this question so we can get you out of here, okay? Okay, proceed.
Thank you. So you're in the front room with Rico and this girl. Was anyone else in the room with you?
No,
Where were the kids?
they were in the back, in the room.
Okay. Now you said that he was having sex with her. I'm gonna ask you a question that's gonna be really dumb, but I have to ask it. What part of his body was touching her inside of what part of her body?
It's being his private part.
Were you in the room while that was happening?
I just said,
I'll rephrase my question. Could you see that with your eyes?
yeah.
And you also said that she performed oral sex on you.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
And you in turn performed oral sex on her.
yes,
Did you ever tell her that she had to do that to you?
no,
Did you ever, did you ever force yourself on her?
no, I did not.
Other than seeing his penis touching her inside of her, did you see him perform any other sex act on this girl?
No, just eyes what we did today.
Was this the only time that you engaged in a sexual act with Rico and this girl?
Yes,
Do you personally know if Rico and this girl had sex at other times?
they did on the couch. It was twice they did.
Did you see that with your eyes?
Yes,
And so you said that happened twice. Was that the same kind of sex? Meaning, was it his penis to her genital opening? Okay. Was that at the same time that this was happening with you?
yes,
Did that all happen in the morning?
yes.
What was this girl, Amarie, what was her demeanor like at the time that was happening?
She was crying like,
She was crying at the time of the sex.
yes,
The sex with the defendant?
yes.
Now, in addition to the two of them being there, do you remember seeing anything in and around her, any potential weapons?
Knife and gun.
So we're gonna talk about the knife first. When is the first time that you remember seeing the knife?
He used it on me.
No.
Anyway,
In relation to what we were just talking about, you described one evening where he brought her home and then a morning where the sexual acts occurred. When did this happen with the knife?
it happened that night.
Which night?
I don't remember, but I know it happened at night. It was dark outside when it happened.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask my question a little bit differently so we can try and nail down this timeline. Did the knife happen before the sexual acts occurred or after the sexual acts occurred?
All I remember is me getting cut and me bleeding. I did.
Okay, so you know that it happened at night. Where, before this happened, was he at the house with you?
No, he was gone. He was.
Ms. Hawkins, I know you previously gave a statement and talked to the police, but the judge doesn't have any of that.
Well, I don't remember everything right off back. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I gotta remember. I got staples in my head. I got a whole, like, my mind is not, can't remember everything like that.
I'm asking that you just testify to what you do remember, and we're gonna go from there. So, before what happened with the knife, right before what happened with the knife, were you at home alone in the living room?
I was dealing with the kids, so Rico was gone.
Okay. Are there cameras in the house?
Yes, the cameras in the house.
Where are the cameras in the house?
One in the hallway, one outside, some in the backyard, some on the side.
Can you see those cameras in the house?
Yeah,
Have you ever had access to the other side, like a phone or a computer or a device that shows you what those cameras are seeing?
no,
Do you know if anyone does have access to that?
yes,
Who has access to that?
Rico,
I'm sorry?
Rico.
Do you know, does he have access to that on a computer, a phone, or something else?
A phone.
Now, if you haven't seen it, how do you know that he has access to it on
Because
his phone?
he showed me, I stayed there. He looked at the phone, so of course the camera gonna be on there, of course I'm gonna see the camera.
So the night that the knife was used, how does that start? Does he call you?
That's when he called me and told me that he was bringing her home. All this happened when him and her got there, like.
All right, Ms. Hawkins. So he calls you,
Yes.
and what does he communicate to you before what happened at the night?
So I gotta really sit here and repeat myself again, when I just repeated it. Just said all that, like.
Ms. Hawkins, we do have to do this, so I'm gonna ask my question again, we're gonna take it one question at a time. What did he
He
say?
called me on the phone and he said, hey, babe, and I met his friend.
Okay.
And I ran her home.
At some point, Ms. Hawkins, did he accuse you of talking to someone else on your phone?
Yes, I said that. That's how everything escalated. Until he accused me of talking to somebody on the phone when I wasn't ever on the phone.
So he accuses you of this in a phone call. What happens next?
That's when everything got violent.
Does he come home?
Yes.
And when he comes home, what happens to turn this violent?
I just told him, I don't remember everything. I have staples and stitches in my head. How do you think that I'm supposed to remember all this at one time? Like,
Ms. Hawkins, what you remember and don't remember is what we need to record for the record. So I'm gonna ask you my question again, and you need to provide an answer. When he gets home, what is the first thing that he does to make this turn violent?
that's enough.
Describe what that knife looks like.
It's a simple book that word.
Gets a knife from the kitchen. Where are you when he retrieves the knife?
I was in there on the couch.
Were you sitting, laying down, or something else?
I was sitting down, trying to prevent my way to get away, to move.
Was anyone else in the living room with you at this time?
She was in there.
Amarie?
Yes.
So Rico comes into the living room with the knife. And what is the first thing that he does?
He starts swinging the knife.
For the record,
Literally just sat there and just explained this before I even came in. Like,
Well, I need to hear it, because I haven't heard any of this, you understand?
I just literally just explained it.
But you didn't explain it to me. I need to
And
hear
said
it.
it to everybody.
Ms. Hawkins, as the judge said, he has not heard any of this information. It was also not reported by a court report, so we need to make a record of your statements. And for the record, Judge, before that, the witness was moving her arm back and forth. She was describing the defendant swinging the knife at her, I'm sorry. So, Ms. Hawkins, you said that he was swinging the knife at you. Where on your body did that make
Right here.
contact?
Right here.
Okay, hold on. The witness is pointing to her left arm, on the other side of her bicep. Is that correct? Hold on. Is that correct?
Right here. Right here. And right here.
Okay, so the first one was the left arm, the other side of her bicep. The second one that she pointed to was on her left hand. Is that a cut right underneath your fourth and fifth fingers?
Yeah.
Okay, because Ms. Hawkins, you're saying right here, but in the transcript, that's not gonna translate. So we need to create documented words for that. And you said there was another one. Where was that on your right arm? Okay, so on your right forearm, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's take those one step at a time. The cut that's on the back of your left bicep, do you know approximately how long that cut is?
No. Not really. I mean, I can show you if you want to see.
Let's
I
see
don't
it.
know. Right.
Let me see it. Let's see it. It looks like, you want to see it, counsel?
Yeah.
It looks like about 4.5-inch cut on her left bicep. It's just above the elbow. And it looks like there's still stitches there.
Yeah, I have to go tomorrow.
How many stitches are there? 6 stitches. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Hawkins, I think we may have just made a record of this, but I want to confirm, your stitches are still in your arm, is that correct?
Yes.
You have not gotten them out yet, correct?
No, I go tomorrow at 9 to go and get everything removed out.
And when you say everything, you mean stitches that are,
I have stitches up here, and staples in there. And like I just showed, I have some right here, and some right here, so we have to take all these out
How did you get those staples in your head?
at the hospital. No.
Okay, what caused you to get staples in your head?
I had a gash in my head that was open.
How did you get that gash? What happened with the gun?
Hit me with it.
He hit you with it?
Yeah.
No, why he hit you with the gun?
No.
He just hit you with the gun,
Yeah.
the top of your head. What were you doing at the time that he hit you with the gun?
What was I doing?
Yes.
I was sitting down on the couch.
He just came up to you with the gun and hit you in the head?
Yeah.
Were you arguing about something?
No, that's when he said that I was talking to a guy on the phone, and I wasn't ever on the phone with nobody.
Okay,
So that's how that, that's how that,
so was that, did he hit you with the gun before he cut you or after?
before.
So he hit you with the gun in your head, and then after he hit you with the gun, he went and got a knife and cut you?
Mhm.
Say yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, so.
thank you. And I'm sorry, Judge, can we just give her a moment to get her, topic?
Sure.
Do you want a second? Do you want to take a break to fully put your arm into your?
No, it's okay like this, it's okay.
Okay, all right. So at the time that he is cutting you with this knife, is he saying anything to you?
Yes.
Is he, what is he saying to you?
He wanted to do this, he wanted to hurt me. He wanted to kill me, he wanted to put me in the hospital. This is something, like I said, this is something I feel like that he planned, that he wanted to do to me. Because he did it, I went to the hospital, and I've been in the hospital, now I'm on the wall. Like, it's just so much. It's just too much.
When he was making those statements to you, was he saying them or was he yelling?
He was yelling, screaming, hollering.
How did that end?
What you mean?
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase. Did Amarie get involved? No.
That's when she stopped him.
How did she stop him?
She was trying to stop him. Basically, she was like bagging him up, like, go ahead, move and leave her alone. She bleeding all over the place, That's how she got him away.
And for the record, when the witness was describing Amarie's action, she was pushing both of her hands out in front of her.
Yeah.
Is that what you could see Amarie doing to the defendant?
Yeah.
Okay. How did the knife get out of Rico's hands?
I don't know. I ain't touch it. I don't know. I don't know if he threw it, dropped it, or if she took it. I don't know.
Did you see that knife again?
Yeah, when I seen it in the kitchen, in the sink.
Did you put it in the sink?
No.
Was it in the sink dry or was it in any sort of liquid?
It was in like some bleach water or something.
Why did you think it was bleach water?
Because you can smell the bleach coming out of there.
Okay. You said that this happened at night. When did you end up seeking medical attention?
The next day,
How did you get to a medical facility?
RJ's teacher took me to urgent care. They didn't have an urgent care in the inside, so they made me wait there. And they called the EMS for me, and the EMS took me to St. John Hospital. That's how I got.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna back you up for a second. You said that you had been hit in the head with a gun. Did you recognize that gun?
Yeah,
How do you recognize that gun?
it's my gun.
Now, does that mean that it's registered in your name?
Yeah,
What kind of gun is it?
it's a 9.
A 9mm?
Yeah.
What make or model? Did you purchase that gun?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Did you keep it in the house?
Yes.
Did you give him permission to use that?
No.
So at the time that he hit you with that on the head, what did he do with the gun after that?
I don't know, because I was just bad trying to clean myself up. I ain't even going to see her. I don't know what he did. After that, where he put it, where he hid, I don't know.
And you said that RJ's teacher took you to that, to urgent care initially. Do you have a relationship with RJ's teacher? Are you friends or something like that?
We were cool. We talked on the phone. I knew her and she knew me.
What was her name, or what is her name?
Her name is Caroline.
So how did the decision get made for you to go to the hospital? Did you
I
have to
made my
ask?
own decision.
Okay.
I made it on my own.
Did you reach out to RJ's teacher, Caroline?
Yeah.
Did she come to the house to pick you up?
Yes.
Then you said she took you to urgent care,
Yes.
and then ultimately went to the hospital.
Urgent care didn't have they didn't have an urgent care. The urgent care was closed down. So what they did was they made me wait at the urgent care, and they called the EMS for it. And the EMS came and got me. They took me to St. John Hospital.
At the time that you're waiting to go to the hospital, are you actively bleeding from your injuries?
Yes.
How many hours had it been since this had occurred?
It was maybe until it got daylight, you say.
Okay.
Until it turned daylight outside, and that's when I went to the urgent care.
So is it fair to say that over a period of hours, you were still actively bleeding from your injuries?
Mm-hmm.
Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. How long did you spend in the hospital?
About 4 days.
Other than your head, the cut on the back of your arm, your left hand, and your right arm, are there any other cuts or injuries that you sustained from either the knife or the gun?
No.
Did the police come and talk to you while you were at the hospital?
Yes.
Did they talk to you more than once?
Maybe 4 times that I remember.
When they talked to you at the hospital the first time, had you gotten all of your stitches done?
No, they came right before they did the surgery, and I had talked to them.
What surgery are you talking about?
Surgery in my head and on my arm.
Okay, so they came before you had your surgery to talk to you about what happened.
Yeah. Yes.
Did they talk to you while you were in a hospital bed?
When they tried to, I was sedated, I was asleep. So they couldn't really, talk to me because I wasn't awake.
When you first talked to police officers, were you honest with them about how Rico had been the one to cut you?
Yes.
Was there ever a time where you told officers that your sister?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
When did you tell officers that?
The day that I went to the hospital, Tuesday.
Was that one of the first times that you talked to officers?
Yes.
Why did you tell them that it was your sister and not Rico?
Yes, I was scared of this.
Why were you scared? You gave a response that was not verbal. I'm gonna need a verbal response.
What was it?
You said, what does mean? Were you trying to say, I don't know?
I don't know.
But ultimately, did you tell officers that Rico was the one responsible?
Yes.
What's the truth?
What do you mean what's the truth?
Well, if you told officers initially one thing and then you said Rico, was Rico the one that did this to you?
Yes.
Remember, Judge? I just have a couple more questions. Back when he was using the knife against you, where were the children?
They were basically running around.
So they were in and around the area while this was happening?
Yeah, they were running around. Basically playing.
Now, and on this day that we're talking about, when you were caught with a knife and when he hit you with the gun, did he assault you in any other way?
No.
There are no further questions at this time.
Cross-examine?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. You say that Rico left the house because he was upset about you talking to someone on the phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then he came back with Amarie after he left.
Yes.
And you say right after he came back is when he assaulted you?
Yes.
And then after that, you guys had sex?
Yes.
You, Amarie, and Rico?
Yes.
Okay. And you're still bleeding profusely while you guys are having sex?
Yes.
And you said that you guys had drunk some wine, you smoked some marijuana?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said Rico was doing powder cocaine, and Amarie was smoking crack cocaine, correct?
Correct.
And sometime after this is when Amarie said she wanted to go to her grandmother's house to see her kids, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
Yes.
and isn't it true that Rico said you can go later, but right now you're high and it's late?
Mm-hmm.
Say yes.
And Amarie's grandmother was taking care of her kids, correct?
Yes.
Because she was on drugs?
Yes,
So when she was saying she wanted to see her kids, she was talking about the fact that she doesn't have her kids. According, based on the conversations you had that night, when she said she wanted to see her kids, did you take that to mean she was sad about her no longer having her kids? How did you take what she said?
I took it as she wanted to go see her daughter, because that's what she kept asking, that's what she kept saying.
Okay. At her grandma's house?
At whose house?
At her grandmother's house?
Yes.
Okay. And so when he came in the house with Amarie, it was about 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, correct?
Yes.
And you said the kids were up running around while the incident happened, the assault on you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, you guys put the kids to bed and then started smoking and drinking and having sex?
Yes.
And you're still bleeding from the head and the arms while all of this is going on?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that Amarie went down on you, correct?
Yes.
And then you said, do you mind if I return the favor, correct?
Yes.
And she allowed you to do that.
Yes.
And then you said after that, Amarie and Rico were asking each other different favors and continued to have sex, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that the only person Rico was violent with that evening was you because he thought you were talking to someone else?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Can you redirect?
Ms. Hawkins, you testified that at some point, Joe and Amarie went into another room and went on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you could not see what was happening in that room?
No.
No question.
How many staples do you have in your head?
What is it, like 6?
6. Any questions based on my question?
Yes, Judge, I'm so sorry. Ms. Hawkins, you said that you have 6 staples in your head, and you said something earlier about surgery. What did you mean by surgery?
When they had the stitches and stuff, that's what I mean by surgery.
Okay. So at any point where you put to sleep for the
Yes.
staples or the, okay,
Yes, I was with this.
okay. So you were not awake at the time that they were stitching up your arm or your head?
No.
And you said that you spent 4 days in the hospital?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So have you had any follow-up doctor's
I
appointments?
have one tomorrow.
Yes, you have one tomorrow. Do you have any additional follow-up
No.
doctor's appointments after the hospital?
No, just the one for tomorrow. That's my first follow-up appointment to go back.
Do you have to do any sort of physical therapy or
Yes,
follow-up
I
care?
do. I have to, physical therapy. They give me a referral when I go to the doctor tomorrow to go to get physical therapy on my, this arm and both of my legs.
Now specifically, you said your left arm. Is that the same arm that your hand cut and the back of your
Yes.
arm is on?
Yes,
And what is the physical therapy for that area?
because I don't have no,
Did you have feeling right before he cut you with the knife?
yes, I did.
And now you said you have no feeling?
No feeling at all.
Where do you not have feeling?
Well, this right here, I can't feel. I can move these, but I can't move nothing. I can't feel nothing. I'm being on this.
And for the record, she is gesturing when she says the feeling that she doesn't have is her pinky finger all the way down. Is it to the bottom of your hand?
Yes,
Do you have feeling down that part of your arm?
no,
Okay, so the no feeling extends down past your forearm down to your elbow?
no,
I'm sorry, just looking right here. No, you do not have feeling there?
no, I don't, do not.
Okay, but you said that you have feeling in your other
Yes,
four
I can
fingers.
feel, I can move these, little these. Other than this, I can't feel.
Can we get a record of all of this?
Yes.
These ones?
Yes, thank you, Judge. So when you say all of this, you're talking
My
about,
arm, this right here, all of this right here that I showed, this does not have no feeling. I can move all of these fingers right here. These I can move.
Inside of her forearm.
I was gonna say, for the record, just to make it easier, she could move her thumb, index, middle, and ring finger, but her pinky and that line going down from her pinky to her elbow, she can't. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have one more question for you, and I'm so sorry. I have to
Go ahead.
When you got hit on the head, did you lose consciousness at all? In other words, after you got hit on the head and you cleaned yourself up a little bit and you guys had sex, you were never like out of it, like you weren't knocked out or anything,
No.
right? So when they went in the back bedroom, you could still hear everything, correct?
Yes.
You didn't hear her yelling or screaming like, no, don't, or stop, or anything like that, correct? Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, my second witness is here.
Okay, great. Excuse me, ma'am, I do have one question for you as you walk out. I noticed you're walking kind of with a limp. Why is that?
My legs, I'm currently on the walk, but I forgot my walker at home.
Okay, what happened where you're on the walk?
Because my legs is like, they tingling, they burn, they hurt really bad.
What is that from?
I guess it's from when I got cut. And it's messing with, it's going from my arm to my leg. And they put me in it, they did an x-ray at the hospital. You know, they put me in the x-ray machine. They told me that I had to go get physical therapy.
Thank you.
But I'm so sorry, may I ask just one question? You don't fully understand, other than what they told you, about why that's affecting your legs, is that correct?
I just have one question. This isn't related to the dog fight voucher, correct?
You said dog bite? Can I have your question again?
I'm sorry, the tingling on your legs isn't related to the dog fight.
No,
you
it's
had.
not.
Okay.
May I just walk around, Judge?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. I apologize for that long delay. I am ready to call my next witness, of course, but the court will allow it.
Yes, please give your name and spelling to the young lady seated there.
At this time, people call Amarie Shanks.
Please raise your right hand. Yep, there you go. You swear or affirm, come over here. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat in the witness box up here next to me. voice a nice and loud, speaking to that microphone to be to your left once you have it. Thank you. Maybe begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Amarie Shanks, Amerri. Shanks, SHA there.
How old are you?
20.
I'm sorry?
20.
What's your date of birth?
October 11, 2003.
Now, I'm going to draw you back to right at the end of June, early July of this year. Did something occur in and around that time for you to report today?
Yes,
Did you meet an individual at that time?
yes.
What was that individual's name?
Rico.
Would you recognize Rico if you saw him today?
Yes,
Do you in fact see them today?
yes.
Please identify where they are and pick out an article of clothing if they're wearing.
Right there in the green.
And with the witness also pointed, so at this time, we're looking for identification of the defendant.
So noted.
How did you meet Rico?
I was at the gas station like 12 o'clock at night. And Rico was walking. And he said he'd give me some drugs when I come with him. He said he'd give me a place to stay. And I was like, all right. And then I went. And then,
Hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there. So you said you met him at a gas station. Was he alone when you met him?
yes,
Were you alone when you met him?
yes.
Why were you looking for a place to stay that night?
Because my grandma wouldn't let me back in at that time.
Does your grandma have a curfew for when you need to be home?
Yeah,
Is that a yes?
yes,
Was it past that time?
yes,
Now, do you, at this time, were you living with your grandma?
yes,
Were you living with anyone else?
no,
Do you have a child?
yes.
How old is your child currently?
So
So you said that you met Rico, he offers you a place to stay. What happens next?
we started walking to his house. And we was at the park. And he was asking me to do it over there, like to have sex. And I was like, no, no. He told me softly, well, I ain't really thinking of it. And then we just started walking back to his house. And then we was after his house. I got in the shower, I smoked. And then I was on the couch, sitting on the couch.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there. So you said that you went to the park. What happened at the park?
He had chosen me softly because I said I didn't do it.
You said you didn't want to do what?
Have sex.
How did you know that he wanted you to have sex with him?
Cause he said, come on, let's do it.
And by let's do it, you took that to mean have sex?
Yeah,
At the time that he did that, you said that he choked you softly. What do you mean by that?
like, he had told me like not too hard to where I'd be alarmed. He's like, stop moving. And I was like, all right, fuck. We start walking the top. Yeah,
So you say that he choked you, but not to the point where you felt alarmed. What part of his body was touching what part of your body at that time?
his arm was around my neck.
Was it both arms?
Yes,
Was he using his hands?
yes,
At any point, was your breathing restricted?
no,
And then after that, and I apologize for my language, but you said, bucket. What were you saying bucket to?
walk to the top.
So you continued to walk to his house after that.
Yeah,
How were you feeling when you were walking to his house?
I ain't gonna lie, I just want to smoke. I got addiction, so like definitely I was worried about. I wasn't really using my head.
Did he tell you that you were going to be able to smoke at his house?
Yeah,
Did you ask him if you could smoke at his house?
yeah,
So you're walking to his house. Do you know how long that walk was?
well, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Was it just the two of you walking to his house?
Yeah,
At any point, do you remember if he made a phone call?
yeah,
Could you hear his side of that conversation?
yeah,
Could you hear who was on the other end?
yeah, it was his, girlfriend, right over there. And then we talked to her, he like, go be in the potty lecture. On our way there, he was saying like, stay with me, you're not going nowhere. But I'm, in my mind, I'm just thinking like, he's talking to me. That's how man be.
So hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there. You said that as you were walking, he was saying what to you?
He's saying he's not going nowhere, like he's not leaving.
But at that point in time, did you feel like you could leave?
No, I didn't think he was seriously gonna like kidnap me. I don't not to. I didn't, you know,
So were you walking to his house willingly?
yeah.
So when you get to his house, where in the house do you go?
First time in the living room and bedroom got my wife smoke. Stuff like that.
Did you tell him how old you were?
Yeah.
How old did you tell him that
I told him 20 at first, but like later on in the story, I told him I was 17, thinking I was gonna make him like, you know, leave me alone or whatever, but it just made it worse.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that, we're gonna try and move chronologically, or we're gonna move in order, so we'll get to that later. Initially, did you tell him that you were 20?
Yeah.
You said that his girlfriend or wife was there, what's her name?
I forgot.
Okay, do you remember what letter it starts with?
Tiara.
I'm sorry?
It's Tiara.
Okay, so her name is Tiara. When you're in the house, do you meet her right away?
Yeah. We talked over the phone before I got there.
Is anyone else in the house at that time?
This kid.
How many kids were there? Were they in the room when you met them, or were they somewhere else in the house?
They was like in the living room, but she was telling me like go in the room.
So what happens when you first get to the house? What's the first thing that you do?
In the shower.
Did they tell you that you could take a shower?
Yeah.
Did they make you take a shower?
He was like, if you don't get in the shower, you're not gonna smoke.
So you get in the shower. When you get out of the shower, what clothes do you put on?
First, he made me sit there naked. And then the girl, he took white, he was showing me like black jumper one. And I put that on.
So does she bring clothes down for you to wear?
Yeah, no.
After you shower and get changed, what's the very next thing that happens?
Smoke.
What were you smoking?
Crack.
Who provided that crack?
Him.
And by him, I saw you point. Are you talking about the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any crack with you when you arrived at the house?
No. Oh, he had it.
Okay, so he provides the crack to you. Is he also smoking?
No, he was harder like cocaine.
He does what?
Cocaine.
Okay. So you smoke crack. He's smoking cocaine. Are you drinking anything?
Yeah, they was some nonsense. I don't know, like some things.
I'm sorry, did you say wine?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're smoking and drinking wine, are you still in the living room?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Are you doing anything else there? Are you talking? Are you playing a game? Are you watching something?
We go talk to him.
After that happens, what's the very next thing that happens?
I think I really hit it. And that's when he came in there and strangled me. Because I didn't want to, well, he kept asking me to do it. And I was like, no. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And then he came in the kitchen and strangled me for me coming there. And I went in there and he slapped me twice. He hit me in the head with the gun, like 6, 7 times. And then he made me have sex with him and his girlfriend.
Okay, to stop you there, we're gonna go back. You said you went into the kitchen and he came in and strangled you.
Yes, ma'am.
Describe for me what part of his body was touching what part of your body.
Over his arm.
Both his arms where?
No, my neck.
Was this like the first time that he had strangled you?
Yeah.
This time, could you feel his arms tightening around your neck?
Yeah, I can breathe.
Do you, when you couldn't breathe, you know if you lost consciousness?
I was hungry.
Why are you saying you were about to?
I could feel myself straight now, but like I got to be strong. I got to be strong.
So since you thought you were about to die, describe for me what you were feeling in the rest of your body.
No, like I just felt like I was a fan.
Could you feel like your hands and your arms?
Like the feeling was going away, yeah, like I was a fan.
You know how long that lasted?
Yeah, that's what Thursday.
Was he saying anything to you at the time that he strangled you?
He was like, I don't be told, no, like, I don't, he was like, he was saying something like, I don't be told, no, you gotta do it.
At the time, is this still in the kitchen that this is happening?
Yeah,
Were you standing up, sitting, or something else?
yeah, no,
Was anyone else in the kitchen with you and him while he strangled?
no, never, the kid.
So after he strangles you, what's the very next thing that you remember?
I walked in the living room and I sat down on the couch. Then he came in and he gave me twice. He choked me again. Then he and him was good.
So you said that he hit you twice. What was that with a part of his body?
Yes, he did.
Yes, his hand.
Yes.
Was that with an open hand or a closed fist?
Over.
So he hit you twice with an open hand? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And then you said that he strangled you again. How did he strangle you?
It was my arm remember if he put me in jail like this. Showed me this. I don't remember which one. Yeah.
And then after that, you said that he hit you with a gun. Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, I keep saying that because things like and don't translate into the record. So we need an actual verbal response. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. So when was the first time that you saw this gun? When you walked. You saw it when you were walking? Yeah. When you were walking to the house?
Yeah.
Where was it when you saw it? What do you mean that you could see it? What part of the gun did you see?
All of it, put it on his shoulder.
Okay, so he pulls the gun out of your pocket and shows it to you. Does he say anything when he does that?
He was like, I gotta protect you and I gotta protect myself.
Judge, prior to stepping onto the stand, the witness asked for a glass of water. May I just approach you? Sure. Now, when you were walking and he's showing you this gun, what was going through your mind at that time? Did you feel afraid or scared at all?
I had anxiety, like, what if they can say before the church? But I wasn't scared of it, because you know, I've seen people do it.
Okay. So you saw the gun on the way there. I'm sorry, I actually want to back up. After he showed it to you, did he put it back in his pocket?
Yeah, he put it back in his pocket.
So when you're at the house and you've showered and you were smoking and drinking, where was the gun at that time?
In his pocket.
At the point that he hits you with the gun, is he saying anything to you?
He was telling me like, so he did murder. He was telling me like, do it right. And then somebody do it right, and he needs to do it.
So when he hits you with the gun, are you standing, sitting, or something else?
Yeah.
Are you sitting on the couch or something else?
On the couch.
Is anyone else sitting on the couch with you?
His wife.
When he hits you, where on your body does he hit you?
In my head.
How many times?
Like 7 times.
Describe for me where on your head the gun makes contact.
Right here. It hurt.
And so for the record, the witness is pointing to the left side of her skull, kind of in between the top of her head and her ear. Is that a fair description?
Yeah.
So,
And you said that it still hurts?
say yes,
Yes. I'm bad, I'm nervous.
it's okay.
Did you experience pain at the time that this happened?
Yes.
Did you, other than the pain in your head, did you experience pain or a weird feeling in any other part of your body that you had with the gun? Is that a no?
No.
So you said that he wanted you to, I'm gonna use your words, suck his dick.
Mhm.
How do you
Yes.
know, how do you know that that's what he wanted?
Because he said it, I was wrong.
What exactly did he say?
Said something like he
Okay. At the time that he did that, is he fully clothed?
put his pants down, he had a shirt on.
He still had his shirt on. You said that he pulled his pants down. What kind of pants was he wearing?
I don't remember.
But do you remember him pulling them down?
Yeah,
When in the assault did he pull them down?
after he got done strangling.
Was that after he got done strangling you on the couch?
Yeah.
Was this before he hit you in the head with the gun?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
So after he strangles you, before he hits you with the gun, he pulls down his pants and he tells you to suck his dick.
Yes, ma'am.
What is going through your mind at that time?
I was like, I gotta do the thing. Like him.
Why did you feel like he might kill you?
He kept putting that gun on. He had his hand on the trigger and ready.
Did he ever point the gun in your direction?
Yes.
Where on your body did he point the gun?
My head.
When he pointed the gun at your head, was he saying anything to you?
I don't remember. I was scared.
So at this point in time, his pants are down. Could you see any part of his body? Is he standing in front of you, sitting in front of you, or something else?
Then
At that point in time, what's the very next thing that happens?
I proceeded to suck his dick.
So did your mouth go onto his penis?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that before or after he hit you in the head with his gun?
After he can hear the gun, he told it while out.
So are you saying that while you were performing oral sex on him, he was pulling the gun toward you?
He was in me heavy, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember if he ejaculated?
No, not until he got in it first.
At some point, do you stop performing oral sex on him?
Yeah, then he started making me perform oral sex on his wife.
So, you stopped performing oral sex on him. You're saying that he made you perform oral sex on his wife. What do you mean by that?
Like he was like go get my wife some dick. Now it ain't like he moved my body and pull my made me do it. But at the same time it's like I don't have a choice when I gotta do it, he said you have to do it. So that's what I mean, like he made me do
Did she ever force you to perform oral sex on her?
it. She was just doing it.
So he makes you perform oral sex on her, Tiara.
And
What is he doing while you're performing oral sex on her?
he was penetrating,
How was he penetrating?
like from the back.
So I'm gonna ask a question that seems really silly, but what part of his body was touching your inside of what part of your body? His penis was where?
Inside my body.
Was that inside of your genital opening?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that he was doing that from behind.
Yes.
Were you still on the couch at this time?
No, she was on the couch. No, we went to the other couch. She was on that couch. And I was on the floor on my knees.
Do you know how long that lasted?
About an hour.
Did you at any point willingly agree to perform oral sex on him?
No, like, I mean, like, yeah, but I didn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? He had a gun. I said, yeah, but that's what I do. I do what I do.
Did you at any point, and again, it may seem like a weird question, so I had to ask them. Did you at any point give him permission to put his penis inside of your genital opening?
No, I never said I would.
So after you finish giving Tiara oral sex and he stops penetrating you from behind, what's the very next thing that happens?
He started eating her vagina, and I was standing on the floor scared, thinking like, I gotta get back to my doctor, no matter what. And he started, and
Now, I think I have a pretty good idea what you mean when you say he started eating you out, but for 4 reasons, we have to be very specific. So what part of his body was touching what part of your body?
his mom was touching my vagina.
Now, when you say his mouth, was it just his lips or was his tongue ever involved?
His tongue, lip, spit, everything.
At any point did his mouth or tongue, or as you put it, everything, go past the sort of fatty outer lips of your vagina? But his mouth and tongue were making contact with your vagina.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that this lasted about an hour. Is there any other kind of sexual act that happened in that time frame?
No.
Where was the gun when this was happening? So after he took the gun out and hit you on the head several times, where did he put the gun after that?
It was in his pocket, but his pants right over him.
So the gun was in his pants pocket, and where were his pants in relation to you and him?
Right here.
Right next to him? So was he essentially,
Yes,
sorry, thank you. So was that within arm's reach of where he was at that time?
yes, ma'am.
Now, when all of this is going on, what's going through your mind?
Here,
Were you communicating to him at any point that you were afraid?
here.
How were you communicating that?
I was trying, I'm scared. Right, but I'm scared of the comments, because leave my ear, I'm really scared. Yeah. He'll be like, I'm scared of, yeah, he was like, after that, man, what he was like, he's not going nowhere.
Did you say that you wanted to leave?
Yeah,
Say that you wanted to leave once or more than once?
one of them,
Who were you telling that you wanted to leave?
Him.
And by him, do you mean the defendant?
yes, ma'am.
Did you tell them why you wanted to leave?
Yeah.
Why did you tell them you wanted to leave?
I told him when they I'm scared and I ain't got going on.
Sorry, you need to say that last part one more time.
I told him like, I ain't with all this you got going on, like it's weird. And I wanna go home. And I told him like I gotta get back to my room.
When you were telling him multiple times you wanted to leave, what was his response?
He was like, not me.
At any point, did he ever prevent you from leaving?
No. But like the gun in his hand, like it's just scary.
Did you feel at that time like you could get out of it?
No,
Why not?
but I was scared from school.
So after this hour, where all of that is happening, what happens next?
After that done, started smoking again. And then just, I really don't remember the rest. Oh, he was like, this is love for thing. Like, maybe do a couple lines, or whatever. And like, for the whole night, up until the morning, I ain't even sleep, like he's too late. It's the same shit over and over.
So how many days were you staying with the defendant and Tiara?
I like on Saturday, because I like on Monday or Tuesday. That's like 3 or 4 days.
So you said that you got there on Saturday, but I'm gonna be a little bit more specific. Was it Saturday night?
It was 12,
It was like midnight
yeah,
on Saturday.
yeah,
So that technically would have been then the start of Sunday.
yes, ma'am,
And you said that you were there for a couple of days.
yes,
Do you know exactly how many days?
3 or 4,
Were you at his house the entire time?
yes,
Now, you just described an instance where there were different types of sexual contact with the defendant.
Mhm.
Was that the only time that he had sexual contact with you?
no,
How many times, I'm actually gonna break it down. You said that there was a point where his penis was inside of your mouth.
uh-huh,
Is that a yes?
yes,
Do you know how many times that happened while you were staying there?
no, I didn't even know.
Was it more than one time?
Yes,
Was it more than 3 times?
yes,
At any point that he was having his penis go into your mouth, did you consent to that contact?
no,
Where was the gun when that would be happening?
in his pocket.
Now, moving on, you said that there was a point in that first encounter when his penis was inside of your genital opening. Is that a yes?
Yes,
Is that the only time that that happened while you were staying with them?
no,
Did it happen more than once?
yes, ma'am,
Did it happen more than 3 times?
yes, ma'am,
At any point during those encounters, did you consent to that type of sexual contact?
no,
And lastly, you said at 1.2 that he put his mouth onto your vagina.
yes,
Is that the only time that that happened?
yes,
So the one that you just described was the only time that his mouth was touching your vagina.
yeah, it only happened.
Now, you said that you stayed there for a number of days and that you did not leave the house.
Yes,
Why didn't you leave throughout those few days?
I was scared, and then even at one point, he told me like, I don't care, he was like, I don't care if you run out in the middle of the street and ask for help. He was like, I can run into him and walk down the street.
Do you know if there were any cameras in and around the property?
Yeah, he had cameras everywhere,
How do you know that he had cameras everywhere?
I could see.
At any point, did you see the other end of that camera?
Like videos on the phone.
Yeah, like any video footage of what was being shown.
Yes,
When did you see that?
every day, like he's just paranoid. He on so much cocaine. He just come in the house or not come in the house, like come from out of anywhere and start shooting. Like, I just heard y'all whispering on the camera. I could roll the camera back, and we wouldn't even doing it. Like he has a real problem. Like just to start up issues, have reason, to assert his dominance.
So you said that there were some times where it seemed like he was watching the camera when he wasn't in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
So were there times when you were in the house but not in the same room as him?
yes,
Would that sometimes occur where you were in the same room as Tiara?
yes.
Now, you said something about him coming in and accusing you of doing something you didn't do.
Yes.
Can you describe one instance where that happened?
He had two men, cause he was like, y'all girlfriend and girlfriend. I ain't even really like it. Like, he was like, it's your girlfriend, it's your wife now. And we be in the kitchen, and we wasn't even talking. And he just coming and be like, I heard y'all talking.
Now, is there a point where you left the house with him?
Yeah,
When did you leave the house with him?
I believe it was the next day. He took me with him to go cut some grass.
So when you say the next day, are we talking about your second day there or your third day there?
My second day.
Is this after the night that he brought you to the house?
Yes,
So your second day there, where does he take you?
on stage fair, cut some grass.
Did he tell you why he's taking you to go cut the grass?
I guess he checked up with me in the hospital.
And you say, I guess. Did he actually say that to you?
No,
Did anyone go with you and him to go cut grass?
no,
Did he give you any instructions when you left the house about how you could act or how you could behave?
he was like walking in front of me, and then that one person was walking, and he thought I was looking at another man. He told me, look at the ground. He told me like, don't run, yeah,
Do you know where the gun was at that time?
in his pocket.
Did you actually see it in his pocket? Did he show it to you before you left the house?
No, I just saw him put it in his pocket for
And you said that he had you walk in front of him.
Mhm.
So when you're walking in front of him,
Yes,
sorry, Judge.
sir.
So when you're walking in front of him, can you see what he's doing behind you?
Yeah, he was pushing it on.
Okay. So you're out cutting grass. What happens?
Cut the grass. Well, he cut the grass, I cut the back. And after we got done, he showed me the camera. He was like, look at her on the phone with somebody. And I don't even think she was on the phone, but like I had to agree with him because like he was scared that because if you don't agree with him, he hits you. So I'm like, yes, he was going on her.
Okay, hold on, 1 second. So you're out still cutting grass? Is that a yes?
Yes,
And he shows you cameras. How does he show you those cameras?
on the phone.
Are you watching the camera footage as well?
Yeah,
What do you see on that camera footage?
she had her phone right next to.
And by she, do you mean Tiara?
Yes,
Is Tiara in the house?
Yeah.
Do you recognize where in the house she was?
on the couch.
Is that in the living room?
Yes,
And you said that her phone was right next to her?
yeah,
The defendant was asking you some questions about that. What was he asking you about?
he was like, don't it look like she on the phone? Can't you hear?
Like what?
He was like, don't it look like she on the phone? He was like, can't you hear her talking to someone? And I was like, yeah, I'm just saying yes to whatever he asked. I'm scared.
What did you think would happen if you didn't agree with him?
He would hit me. If he,
So when you agree with him, what does he do next?
he called her. He was like, I'm beating your ass and you come. He was like, tell her. He was yelling to, he was calling her name. He was like, I'm beating your ass.
He says that he was gonna beat her up when he gets home.
Yeah,
Can you hear her on the other end of the phone?
yeah,
Is she, I don't wanna hear exactly what she was saying, but is she talking with him on the phone?
yes, ma'am.
After he's on the phone with her, what do you and him do next?
When he made me, he was like, don't let her hands up. He made me stay on the phone until, when we were gonna stay on the phone until we got home, his phone died. So I was on the phone till we got disturbed. So that.
Okay, so you stayed on the phone, are you on your way back to the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you walk back to the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you walk back to the house together?
Yes.
How did you walk back to the house together?
On two.
Thank you for that, literal answer. So, was he in front of you, behind you, or next to you?
Behind.
Was that, did he instruct you to walk in front of him again?
Yeah.
When you get back to the house, what's the first thing that happens?
He walked straight in the house, and I don't know what he did, but he punched her straight in the face. She was in the bathroom, there was a lot of noise in there. So I went in there and yeah, he was beating her up. And then he went in the kitchen, he grabbed a knife, and then he started just slashing her while she was in the bathroom, and I'm trying to hold him back. He got the gun and the knife with him. And I'm crying and I'm screaming, I'm like, please don't hurt her, bro. Yeah, she was crying. He just kept stabbing her, like slashing her. Then at one point he hit her again with the wine bottle he was drinking. Cut him with the glass.
So, stop you there. You said that when he first comes in, he hits her. Does he hit her with anything in that time other than his fist?
I didn't really see the first part because when I got in there, he was like, he remember his shit.
Okay, so he goes into, is it the bathroom you said? Is that a yes?
Yes,
She is already in the bathroom?
yes,
And I'm sorry, you actually said you weren't there, so you don't know how they both got into the bathroom. Is that fair to
No.
say?
yes, yes,
And at some point, do you go into the bathroom?
yes.
So let's talk about the very first thing that you see with your own eyes.
First thing I see when I walk in there is the kids. I already knew what he was about to do, so I'm trying to gather the kids together and take them in the room so they wouldn't see it. And then it started getting real noisy, so I went there to check them. He was cleaning around. And then he ran into the kitchen at night.
So when he goes to get the knife, and what kind of knife are we talking about? What does it look like?
I don't know, what's the big knife? Silver.
So he gets the knife. Where does he go after he retrieves the knife in the kitchen?
Back in the bathroom.
Is she still in the bathroom?
Yes,
Can you see her in the bathroom?
yes,
What is her demeanor like at that time?
scared.
Why do you say she was scared?
She was crying,
Was she standing, sitting, or something else?
standing.
Could you see any injuries on her at that point?
Yeah.
What injuries did she have?
Oh, before that day, he and her they had the gun too. I forgot for what. He was bust her head up, she had gas on the right or left side. Big old gas, open it back up, I guess it went in your, you hit her in the back.
Okay, so let's take a pause from this. So before this instance with the knife, let's back up. You said that he had hit her in the head before.
Yes,
How do you know that he had hit her in the head?
I watched that with my own eyes too.
Where in the house did he hit her in the head?
I don't remember
Did he use anything to hit her in the head?
a gun.
So he hit her in the head with the gun. Was that once or more than once?
Couple times. I ain't gonna lie, he was doing her way worse than he did me.
So he hit her in the head multiple times, and you said that she had an injury from that.
Yeah,
What kind of injury did she have? Describe to me what you saw.
her head was busted up. Like a big old open right.
Okay, so I see that you're gesturing. That seems to be what, the right side of your face, kind of right around the hairline?
Yeah, I really don't know which side of it, but it's gas. Big old gas.
But it's right up near where her hairline is.
Yes, ma'am.
And you saw that gash. Did it bleed at the time?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes. I just want water.
Judge, may I retrieve the cup so we can get her some more water?
Sure.
It's a water bottle, right?
Judge, do you mind if I?
Yes, sir.
Thank Sorry, one second. Sorry about that, Judge. Okay, so you said that you knew that she was already injured on her head. Yeah. So at the point in time where he is going to retrieve the knife, he has not come back yet. Could you see any injuries on Tiara?
Yeah,
What could you see?
her hair was busted open.
And by bust open, could you see blood?
Yeah.
Where was that blood coming from?
Yeah.
Was it the same place that we just talked about up near her hairline?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that she was crying?
Yes.
When he comes back with the knife, is he saying anything?
He was like, call me. He was like, call me. Call me. And, she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And every time she said it, he was like, I'm stabbing you in your eye.
So you gestured with your right hand. How was he holding the gun at the time that he was using it? I'm sorry, how was he holding the knife? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like this.
Okay, so let's take it one step at a time. How was he holding the knife when he was slashing her?
Like this. He had it on the side. What type of crazy
So you had your right fist out. Was the blade of the knife sticking out of the back part of his hand near his pinky, or was it sticking out of the front where his thumb was?
His pinky.
His pinky. So he had it kind of backwards. All right. So he had that in.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. He had that in one hand. Where is the gun at this time?
It doesn't hit. It doesn't hit.
In his left hand?
Yes.
What did you see him doing with the knife?
Going to the side and like slashing her arms and legs.
Did you see the knife make contact with your body?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see a cut afterward?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she bleeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how many cuts she had on her body?
I don't know. I can't even talk.
Did you see more than one cut on her body? Is that a yes?
Yes.
At the time that you saw that, what were you doing?
Crying in the space. Oh, like trying to pull her back off her
Were you able to pull him off of her?
a little bit.
How tall are you?
Probably.
Is he taller than you, the same height or shorter
Probably.
than you? And is he generally, do you think he weighs more than you do, or does he weigh the same or?
He weighed
about
more
less?
than me.
So when you're trying to, like put your hands on him, what part of your body is touching what part of his body?
He was in front of me, and I had my head like in his chest, and I was like literally like trying to pull him back.
So you had some of your arms wrapped around his body on his chest? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Were you able to get him to stop slashing forward that night?
Yeah, he stopped eventually, but he just kept getting mad and going in. And,
What about the gun? Talked about the knife. What about the gun? Was he doing anything with the gun? Was it in his hand?
yeah, like I said, he was hitting her with the gun, while he was scared of cutting her with the knife.
Where on her body did he hit her with the gun?
I don't know. Her back, everywhere.
You said at some point this does stop. When this stops, do you know if she bandages any of her injuries?
First had to the wood. And crazy part, he helped us with bandage and so, like, he had really wrap her up.
So I'm sorry, you're saying he had to be the one to bandage her up?
Yeah, he was good.
Who cleaned up the blood?
Me and her.
Did he tell you to do anything with the knife?
Well, no, the next day in the morning. Where he was like, cause her arm was like, I don't know if I'm over there, cause I ain't never seen her like that, like her arm was like damn her decapitated. And he was like, you gotta go to the urgent. And then at one point in time, he was like, no, we can do the stitches, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this man is crazy.
So at this point in time, who brought up the idea of urgent care?
He did. He's like, you wanna go to urgent care? Yeah.
Did she agree to go to urgent care?
She was like, no, I'm gonna go to the asked me to because. And then, oh yeah, before she went to urgent care, he was like, say your sister beat you up and him and Junction.
So I'm sorry, he told her to say what?
He told her to say, like, say your sister's being Junction. Stab you. And it was funny.
Now, Ms. Shanks, at any point, was her sister there in the house?
No,
At any point, did her sister do anything to assault you or Tiara?
no.
So when she is telling Tiara what to do at urgent care, does someone come and pick Tiara up?
Yeah,
Who comes to pick Tiara up?
well, I guess it was the kid's teacher, because she like helped them out.
Had you ever seen that woman before?
No,
Now, someone comes to pick Tiara up. Who was in the house after Tiara leaves?
me, him, and the kid.
And by him, you mean the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you feel like you could leave the house at that time?
No,
So when they leave, at some point, does he get a call from Tiara?
he get a call from the teacher, who's our girl.
So someone calls him and do they give him some information?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that information in some way pertaining to Tiara?
Yeah,
After he gets that information, does his demeanor change?
he looked a little scared. He was scared. I could see it all in his face.
Did he tell you to do anything at that time?
He was like, go get that knife and hide it behind the shed. And then, so that he let me outside. And then I went behind the shed and I saw my opportunity and I just ran. I just dropped the knife and I ran.
So you said he told you to go get the knife. Where was the knife when you went to get it?
In the drawer, and he cleaned it off.
How do you know that he cleaned it off?
I watched the book
How did he clean the knife off?
with soap in the rag.
So he cleans the knife off with soap and a rag, you said, with back in the drawer.
Yeah,
Did you know which knife was in the drawer was the one that he used?
no, he cleaned the knife and put it in my hand.
Oh, okay. So he cleans the knife, he puts it in your hand. Where does he tell you to take the knife?
In the backyard behind the shed.
At this point in time, how many days have you been there?
So,
When you arrived, you arrived wearing your own clothes.
yeah,
Did you arrive with any extra clothes to change into?
nah, yeah, so
So we know that you changed into clothes the first day when Tiara gave them to you. Were you wearing different clothes on this day?
On the day he told me to go to the night, never said I put on his pants, like the same pants, he had a stagger, it had blood all over. I put like one of his jackets,
Why did you put those clothes on?
so I know, it was a close thing.
Did anyone tell you to put those clothes on?
He was like, yeah, just put on that right there.
Okay. So he gives you the knife, he tells you where to take it. What do you do with the knife?
I went in the backyard and I stood behind the shed and ran.
Why did you decide to run at that point?
Cause I knew I had an opportunity, a big giant street, like a busy street was right there. And I'm like, this is my time to go.
As you're running, what's the first thing that you do?
I ran up to like 3 cars and people was passing me by, thinking I was crazy. And two ladies stopped me. And they was like, what's wrong? I was crying, my kids, I was just saying, just yell me out. And, police came in there.
Did those civilians help you call the police?
Yeah, they called the police and went.
Okay. And you were there still when the police arrived? Did you tell the police what happened?
Mhm.
One moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, no further questions at this time.
Cross-examine.
Good morning. Now, you said that, you met Mr. Turner at the gas station and I assume you were looking for crack?
Yeah,
Okay, and he told you that if you came home with him, you could smoke, correct?
yes,
And you said that while you guys were walking home, you took a detour in the park,
yes,
and that wasn't weird to you? Yes or no?
no,
Okay,
I
And-
let me smoke right there, let me smoke a little bit.
so you guys smoked in the park?
I smoke by myself, he smoked.
Okay, so he let you smoke in the park?
Yes,
And then, was that before or after he showed you the stuff?
after he showed me the,
And you guys continued to the house, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now you said at some point he got on the phone with his fiance or girlfriend or wife, you weren't sure which
Yes.
one, correct? Is this before or after you smoked?
after we smoked,
After you guys smoke or after?
after I smoked,
Okay, did he smoke or drink or do anything while you were smoking?
no,
So you were a little bit buzzed when you got to the house, correct? Because you smoked in the park and then walked to the house, right?
yes,
Okay, and then when you get in the house, you get in the shower, right?
yes,
Okay, do you smoke before you get in the shower?
no,
Okay, after you get out of the shower, that's when you start smoking again?
yeah,
Okay. You said you have an addiction, is your addiction to crack?
yes,
Is it your addiction to anything else, just crack?
yeah,
Yes, you're addicted to other stuff?
no,
Okay, just crack? About how much crack do you smoke a day? Or do you smoke daily? Okay, when you were in your habit, how often did you smoke?
like every 3 weeks,
Every 3 weeks? So you would just go on a binge?
Yeah.
Okay. And you say your daughter is 2 months old?
yeah,
Was your daughter born with crack in her system?
yeah,
Okay. So at this time, you didn't have custody of your daughter, did you?
I do,
Now you do. When you met Mr. Turner in the park, did you have custody of your daughter?
I had listened to the video.
Okay. And you guys stay with your grandmother?
Yes,
Okay. And what is your curfew at the house?
these 10 or
9 or 10 o'clock? And if you don't make it home by then, you have to stay out until the next morning? Okay. Yes,
yes,
that's her rule? That's your grandmother's rule?
yes, ma'am.
And so you said after you shower, you're sitting in the front room with Mr. Turner and his girlfriend, fiance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're smoking, Mr. Turner's doing powder, and his girlfriend is she smoking or doing powder?
She's smoking weed and doing part.
Okay, so she's smoking. Okay, are you drinking wine too, or are you just smoking crack?
I'm sipping on one.
Okay. Is this the second time you smoked since you met Mr. Turner? This is the one time in the park and then this is the time at the house? Or did you smoke any more in between?
No, it's a little time.
Okay. Had you smoked anything before you bumped into Mr. Turner?
Alright.
Okay. And at some point, did you mention to them that you had a bridge card?
Yes.
Okay. Was that in exchange for more drugs?
No.
Okay. That was just kind of letting them know that you had something to bring to the table too?
No, he was like, he asked me that bridge card, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay. And at this time, is it fair to say you don't have much interaction with his wife, correct? You're not,
Excuse me?
you're not really interacting with his wife around this time, correct? In other words, she's just there, but you're kind of talking to Mr. Turner.
No, she was talking to,
Okay, so you're talking to the both of them,
yeah,
giving them a little background about yourself and find out a little bit about them?
yeah,
Okay, and this is why you guys are all smoking different things and you're sipping on wine and you're drinking wine, correct?
yeah.
Okay. And then at some point during this interaction, Mr. Turner asked you for sex?
Yes.
Okay. And you said when you said no, he choked you and then hit you in the head with a gun?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said he hit you with his fist several times after that? His hands? Okay. And this happened in the kitchen?
No, the first time he just strangled me. When I got on the couch, he slapped me twice.
Okay, so he strangled you in the kitchen. He takes his hands off you because you said it only lasted for about 35 seconds. And then you guys walk into the front room?
Yes.
Okay. As you're walking in the front room, he's not pulling you in the front room, correct? You're just walking back into the front room from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you sit down on the couch as if the incident in the kitchen didn't happen, correct? In other words, you guys don't bring it up or talk about it, y'all just walk from the kitchen to the front room and got back on the couch, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you resume smoking again?
No, he hit me again.
So he hit you again.
As soon as we got the kitchen.
So as soon as you get out of the kitchen, it's still on the couch, he hits you again.
Yeah.
Okay, and T says nothing.
No, okay.
Okay. And at that point, you say he pulls down his pants? Okay.
Say yes.
Yeah.
And that's when he tells you to suck his dick?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said he hadn't hit you in the head with the gun at that point, correct?
No, when we got out the kitchen, he did hit me.
So he hit you in the head?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
No,
You got out of the kitchen.
yeah, when we got out the kitchen, he hit me in the head with the gun.
Okay. So he hits you in the head with the gun, puts the gun back in his pocket,
Yeah.
pulls his pants down, and then tells you to suck his dick, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said while you're giving him oral, he reaches down into his pocket and then hits you again with the gun,
Yes.
and then he puts the gun back in his pocket, and you guys proceed to have intercourse. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but he took his pants with him.
Okay, so he puts his pants back in his pocket. At this point, are his pants still around his legs, or has he stepped out of his pants?
He stepped out of him.
Okay, so he steps out of his pants and then carries the pants and you over to the other couch where T was sitting, correct?
No, he can't carry me over there.
I mean, not carry you, but you guys went over to the other couch, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Is he pulling you or dragging you over there, or you're walking over there?
I'm walking.
Okay. So then he puts the jeans down, gets behind you, you guys have intercourse, and then you start giving oral sex to T, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you guys smoke after this?
Yeah.
Okay,
We,
okay. And then after you smoke, is it starting to be daylight or is it still dark outside? Because you said you met up with them around midnight.
like it's almost like it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think that when we get her in the head, but I don't know what they was arguing about.
So around 4 or 5 in the morning is when the smoking and the sex industry, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, and then the next,
Yes,
and then the next day is when you go out to cut grass at Mr. Turner.
yes,
Okay, and he's pushing the lawnmower?
yes.
Does he have an edger and a clippers or just the lawnmower?
The edger was the strings on the,
Okay, so he has all the gear
yeah,
and you're just walking
yes,
in front of him.
yes.
Okay, and you don't run, correct? Yes or no?
No, I wanted to.
Okay, you don't run, you don't signal anybody or anything like that, yes or no?
No,
Okay. And then at some point, you said he checks his phone
mhm,
and,
Yes.
yes.
and that's when he decides it's time to go back to the house to deal with T, correct?
No, that was after we cut the grass and we was walking to the store to take it.
Okay, so he has you out cutting grass
Yes,
in various neighborhoods for the day,
no, it was just one house.
just one house?
Yeah,
Okay, and then you guys go to the store,
yes.
okay. Do you know if he made any money that day?
I don't know.
Did at some point you ask him for money, $20 to get high,
Yes.
and he told you no?
No,
He gave you $20 to get high?
no, we never go.
Okay, and so after he told you no, shortly after that is when you left, correct?
No,
You asked for the $20 at the house or while you guys were out cutting grass?
while we was walking back to the house.
While you're walking back to the house, he asked you for $20, correct?
Yeah.
You guys get in the house and still T happens, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you high?
No.
Sleepy?
Yes, I've been up my bedroom.
When you're sleepy, do you get giddy?
No, I was just thinking of something in my head. Sorry.
So you never got the $20, correct? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, and you left shortly after T left, correct? Well, after T left and he got the phone call, you left shortly after that, right?
Yes.
Okay, and during that interim, you never got the $20 that you asked for, right?
No.
Okay. No further.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may sit down. Any other witnesses for the people?
Now that you have the people there, thank you.
Any witnesses for the people?
No, Your Honor.
People.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people do move to have the defendant bound over on all counts. I would make a motion to add an assault with intent to create bodily harm, unless murder or by strangulation, specific to the second witness, that's Amarie Shanks, testifying to the strangulation in the kitchen. I will address that to start, and then I will make an argument for the remainder of the counts. So for
What
the
about,
added.
what about GBH as to the first witness being hit in the head with a gun?
I was also, I'm sorry, specific to being hit with the gun only, or that coupled with the fact that he was also hitting her, or I'm sorry, also slashing her with the knife at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Okay.
That too.
So I'm gonna address both of those in turn, if I may, Judge.
Okay.
So the first one, the assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder or by strangulation, as it relates to Amarie Shanks, that I'm going out of order, that was the second witness. She testified to being strangled at 2 different times by the defendant. There, I don't believe is enough evidence to move forward with the first strangulation, the one that happens outside on the way to the house based on her assessment. However, the escalation of the defendant's behavior, and it rises to the level that it is appropriate for that charge to be added in this case. She indicates that she was at the house, that she went into the kitchen, he was alone in the kitchen with her. She was indicating that she didn't want to, quote, do it, meaning have some sort of sex with him, at which point he grabbed her, he put both of his, she used the word arms, but then when she described it, she said both of his hands were around her neck, that she felt like she couldn't breathe. She felt like she was about to pass out. She had a weird kind of like tingling or lack of feeling in the rest of her body, clearly leading to the elements that are required for an assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder, or by strangulation to be added. That was clearly testified to, that was in conjunction with a further assault in the living room that occurred. So I do believe that certainly by a probable cause standard, that has been more than established. Specific to another added count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder, or by strangulation. For the first witness that testified, that was Tiara Hawkins, I do believe that all of the evidence that we've heard today together leads to probable cause for that charge. We heard testimony from Tiara Hawkins, and the court heard the testimony. It is obvious that she was struggling to testify today. But at the end of the day, she testified that she was struck in the head on multiple occasions, multiple times by the defendant with the gun, that it caused a gash in her head to open so significantly, and that at the same time, she was also being hit repeatedly by the defendant with a knife, causing significant, like a significant cut on the left side of her arm, a cut to right underneath her 4th and 5th digit on her left hand, a cut to her right arm that has not only caused her to get stitches. This happened in early July, so we're a few weeks past that point. She has to get the staples removed from her head, all of the stitches and staples removed from her body. She also is no longer experiencing or feeling from her pinky all the way down to her elbow. She has to go to physical therapy for that, and as a result, that is messing up some sort of issue in her nervous system that is causing some pain in her legs as well, that she still needs to go to physical therapy for. I think that that information from her, coupled with the serious and, to be honest, quite gruesome depiction that Ms. Shanks described of the defendant attacking Tiara Hawkins in the bathroom, an area that I can't imagine had a lot of space, with another person trying to hold him back, where he has a knife in one arm, in one hand, where he is repeatedly slashing her, and a gun in the other, that he is hitting her to the point where she sustained those injuries. That is clearly enough to certainly the probable cause standard.
I think you reversed the name, so that was Hawkins, observed Shanks.
No, that was Shanks, the victim that just testified, because they were called out of order, I'm sorry. Watching Hawkins, the girlfriend, fiance, I think she referred to her as wife, get assaulted.
Okay.
So I would add, I would move to have both of those counts added. Additionally, there is one other change that I would like to make. Count 6, that specifically has to do with assault with a dangerous weapon or felonious assault for Tiara Hawkins. So the second victim listed on the information, but the first victim who testified today, that is currently charged just, actually it is in there, I misspoke. That has both the handgun and the knife present for count 6, so we should be all set. I can establish more on the record. At this time, I do think that the court has been paying attention to both witnesses. I would note that there are some discrepancies in the timeline from witness 1 to witness 2. Witness 1 has everything happening in seemingly what would be about 24 hours, whereas witness 2 said that this happened over a period of days. I do think, though, that there are too many consistencies in both of their statements, in both of their testimony today, to be something that they could have come up with independently. They do not know each other. They had no prior knowledge of each other before this. They met on the night that this occurred, and the defendant was the one that was weaving this entire web and created all of the circumstances for this to happen. With that, people reserve further argument for final court.
Okay, as it relates to count 4, kidnapping,
Yes, Judge. Would you like me to argue that?
it sounds more like a false imprisonment than a kidnapping. Because initially she said that when walking from this gas station where she did serve this on her own volition, that she went there for the purpose of wanting to smoke. While she was there, she was restrained or told that she couldn't leave. But how do you get kidnapped as opposed to false imprisonment?
Absolutely, Judge. So I would first want to state that this was something that was discussed pre-charging. Kidnapping at the end of the day, though, is actually more, it requires less to be true, which is why we move forward with kidnapping. For kidnapping to be true, as the court is well aware, most of the time people think that you have to actually transport someone to another place or something. But when you actually look at the jury instructions, all that we need to show is that she was knowingly restrained. Her movement was restricted. She was not allowed to go to different locations. She was restricted in her movement, and that was done for the purpose of committing criminal sexual conduct, either touching or penetration. And we have that here. We have that in the various terms. She was brought to the house. It's clear that she went to the house willingly, and she was honest. I would argue very honest today when she was saying, yeah, I just wanted to smoke. I wanted to smoke. He showed me the gun. He lightly strangled me. I wasn't scared. I went to the house. But then the story changes. When she's at the house and she smoked, she's gotten what she wants to do. And again, she was very clear about that. She does not want to engage in sexual contact with the defendant, and that is the point at which he escalates the situation. He strangles her, he brings her to the house, he tells her that she cannot leave. That is that knowingly restraining component. She's in the living room. She's sitting, he's standing, he's asking her to suck his dick, he is hitting her and strangling her to the point where I asked her multiple times, did you feel like you were able to leave? She said no. Why didn't you feel like you were able to leave?
Well, it's
Because
been
I was
some
scared.
time since I looked at that jury instruction. It's no longer the asportation element.
No, the asportation element is not necessary. And if the court will allow me 1 second, I have my laptop, I can pull that up.
I can pull it up.
If I may, Judge.
Okay.
It is Michigan Criminal Jury Instruction 20.5. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it looks like 19.1 actually. I'm sorry about that. To prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm sorry. To prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that the defendant knowingly restrained another person. Restrain means to restrict a person's movement or to confine the person so as to interfere with that person's liberty without the person's consent or without legal authority. The restraint does not have to exist for any particular length of time and may be related or incidental to the commission of other criminal acts. So that is the first point. The second point says, second, when the defendant did so, he intended to engage in criminal sexual penetration or criminal sexual contact with that person. Those are the requirements for kidnapping, Judge.
And furthermore, MCL 750.349 says a person who commits the crime of kidnapping, if he or she knowingly restrains another person with the intent to do one or more problem, hold that person for ransom or reward, use that person as a shield or hostage, engage in criminal sexual penetration or criminal sexual contact prohibited under a certain chapter of that person, take that person outside of the state, hold that person in involuntary servitude, engage in sexually abusive activity or who commits the crime of kidnapping is guilty of, okay, so that's it. So the exploitation element has been done away with.
That is correct, Judge.
All right,
I
you
can,
answered my question.
thank you.
As to the added count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder as it relates to, I'm sorry.
Step to the microphone.
Oh, okay. As it relates to the proposed added count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder as it relates to Amarie Shanks, I do believe that that is a question of fact. As it relates to Hawkins, I do believe that that is more appropriately charged as domestic violence. This did happen while they were having a dating
So Ms.
relationship.
Hawkins was the first witness to testify, right?
Correct, that's his
That's the one
fiance.
who was cut, has the stitches,
His
five
fiance,
inches,
yes, that's correct.
and was hit in the head with the gun.
His fiance, yes, Your Honor.
Right. You don't think that would be assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder?
Aggravated domestic violence, Your Honor. And I'm sorry, as it relates to the other counts, although there is some credibility issues, I do believe that those are questions of fact.
So when I look at the assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder or by strangulation, what we have to look at is the defendant's intent. And to hit someone in the head numerous times with a gun to the point to where that it opens that person's head up to the point to they have to have stitches in their head, I think qualifies as that. And then to take a knife and to cut that person over and over again on certain different parts of their body, I think also qualifies as assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder or by strangulation. So the court is satisfied as it relates to those charges. As they pertain to Ms. Hawkins, is satisfied that people have been their burden of probable cause. Are you adding 2 counts of GBH as it relates to Ms. Hawkins?
Yes, Your Honor, I am moving to add 2 counts of GBH.
Okay. And as to Ms. Shanks, do you have any argument as to why those rest of Ms. Shanks? Ms. Shanks is the point.
Yes, I agree that that was a question of fact.
Okay.
Related to.
All right.
I just felt that as it related to this fiance, it should be aggravated.
So we have 2 counts of GBHs that, for that complaint as well, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I was moving to add 1 count specific to the victim whose last name is Hawkins, the first person who testified, and 1 count specific for Shanks, so 2 in total.
Okay.
And then I asked that the accompanying felony firearms also be added.
All right, the court, after hearing the testimony of Ms. Shanks as well as Ms. Hawkins, is satisfied that people have met their burden of probable cause as it relates to the original charges contained in the complaint, as well as added count of assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder or by strangulation as it relates to Ms. Hawkins, and assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder as it relates to Ms. Shanks and the accompanying felony firearms. The court finding those charges were committed in the city of Detroit, and the court finding probable cause to believe this defendant committed will bind the defendant over to Wayne County Third Circuit Court Criminal Division for further proceedings. His arraignment on the information date and time will be July 29th, 2024 at 9:00 a.m. Are there any issues as to bond?
Your Honor, we would ask for child services referral.
I'll let you ask across the street. Time will be continued. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Judge.
Have a seat here. Mhm.
PGH is 750-83.
I'm sorry?
PGH 750-83.
I think so, Judge. Can you give me one
Or it
moment?
might be 84.
County Union staff, have a good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. You as well.
Always good to see you.
It is.
Maybe right up.
84. You are correct, Judge. I'm sorry I didn't provide that before.
No problem.
I know.
Yeah. Not yet. I'll bring it down.
Thank you. Thanks, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good day now. We needed a parental advisory today on that, Dr. Hey, what's up, stranger? Long time no see. What brings you in the neighborhood?
Just want to say hello there. Hey, sorry.
It's been a long time. What you been up to?
Down here in AZ. What?
Down where?
In Arizona.
Oh, dang, you moved the whole state, huh? Dang, okay.
Trying to stay down here where it's warm at.
So you back just visiting?
Just visiting. We had a death in the family, so I said my brother's wife
I'm
passed.
sorry for your loss.
Thank you. So came down here. I was like, well, I'm glad back out tomorrow.
Give me 1 second. Well, that concludes the docket for the day, folks. Hope to see you tomorrow, same bad station, same bad time. Have a good day. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for everyone that stuck through this long trial. It was a very, very long and drooling trial. The dad, honestly, and I shouldn't say this, it's like throw up in the mouth. You ever just had regurgitated everything and you threw up in your mouth and it's like the worst tasting thing ever. It tasted good coming down, but it was bitter and nasty coming up. How can you do that to your own children? And what made me even more mad is he's sitting there with those silver bracelets around his wrist as if he's crying. Why would you touch your child or your children and then you do an alleged kidnapping against your children? These set of circumstances is unbecoming and it's despicable, might I add. But nevertheless, thank you for all who tuned into the video. This is Antonio with Team Tiggio. Please support the channel through Cash App or Super Chat. Also, hit the notification bell so you can see when we drop new videos. And once again, we will see you in the next video.